Yes. So I'll give you some background. Danielle is wonderful. Probably can't hear us, or maybe she can hear us. She can hear us. And is the worker for the Ingenious program. And I think, you know, this often happens, doesn't it, when you're trying things out. I think this is the first time she's had to go at doing Zoom with, you know, with the Woodcraft hosting mechanism. So now I can press record and get on with the presentation. I mean, I could just do that, I guess. Yeah. So could you say in the chat if you haven't had all of the PDFs? I think everybody now has, haven't they? I believe.
So I did get an email from Daniela today, but it was about an induction call.
Okay. I think it might have been possibly yesterday when she sent it. Have you had them? The PDFs, have you? No. Okay, well, we'll make sure that everyone's got them. And if I just say a little bit, probably the one that will give you the most information in terms of background for the project is the environmental education one, which we were, the National Association for Environmental Education asked us to write a summary because they'd heard about our work of everything that we've done in the last 15 years. So that gives a really good kind of summary detail of sea change and going to the festivals and the other Ingenious projects. And it's got some nice photographs of Bob setting up the solar power systems and things like that. So, yeah, that's right. So Colin's seen them?
I haven't seen them.
No. Yeah. They might have gone into your junk.
The only email that we got with PDFs are from Deborah with the with the letter to Prime Minister and introduction. It's not that one you're talking about.
It may be that she put them directly onto Gmail, onto the Google Docs then. I sent her the PDFs. I know she sent me a message saying that she'd uploaded them onto the Google Docs. And if it helps you, we can send them all round by old-fashioned email as well. But we can do both.
The email that came last night headed Ingenious Margaret Fleming, Peer Education as a Mechanism for Delivery, Climate Change and whatever. At the bottom, hidden in the text, are the hyperlinks to the PDF. They're not like normal attachments.
Okay, right. Because I think there was some issues with the hyperlinks. I know that some access issues with the hyperlinks. So I sent her the original PDFs because at the beginning I'd sent them to Debs because I knew there might have been some issues, and then it all got a bit confused and we just ended it with the hyperlinks. So I sent those yesterday, and I believe that they are now on Google Docs. So they are out there and you can see them. And it is a good idea to find your way to the NEE one. The other articles are a couple that I've written for schools. Do you know, I think if we just start and do, maybe if I pretend to host and we just go around and say what you know about environmental education and teaching about climate science, and then I'll do the presentation. Does that make sense to you all? Yep. Okay.
I just put the links in the chat, by the way, so if people take a few seconds to click on them, they can open them up in another window.
Perfect, thank you. Okay, so Bob, so we'll start with you because you're in my corner. Everyone has a different thing. So do you want to introduce yourself and what you know about climate science education? Are you on mute? No, you're not. It's just fuzzy.
Which me do you want to hear from? I said, which Bob do you want
Dean.
to hear? Bob Dean. Hey, that's me.
Good question. Good question.
Right, so I am a high voltage engineer. I know very little about the science of education of science, whatever. In fact, I had to look up quite a bit in the dictionary when I tried to read the first article. I know a bit about working with venturers from woodcraft groups, but I was completely lost on a lot of the terminology in your articles. So I've got a lot to learn.
Good point. Yeah. Okay. Anne?
No, I know quite a lot because I've worked as an education officer working in facility education 30 years. And so I've done a lot of stuff with energy and climate change.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Colin?
Well, I've been doing university level lecturing for more or less full time for the last 10 years in Asia in a slightly different culture, but that's at undergraduate level. But in sort of business and economics and related things rather than in engineering or science, although there's some of that comes into it. And previously I have done some university lecturing in basic engineering as a kind of sideline to earn a bit of cash when my consulting business wasn't going very well. But I've never taught anybody below the age of about 17. And terminology of education is new to me in terms of methods and so on. Yeah.
And that's why I think maybe directing you to the National Association for Environmental Education one might be a good start, because that was just a very straightforward summary review of everything that's happened. Some of the others are kind of in-house journals for teachers, formal education, but a good context, and it's good to know the context, isn't it? Matthew.
So when I was at school, I did some climate workshops with woodcraft with the Edinburgh Power Pod to school kids. And then since I've started working, I've volunteered with a couple of STEM projects where I helped a school project do a project on the circular economy. That's my main experience.
Excellent. So Emily and someone else.
And Steve.
And Steve, sorry.
Hi. So I do a bit of tutoring and demonstration at university. So that's probably the only kind of experience I have with, well, they're not really children, but undergraduates. And I know not very much about climate science. So that's me.
Cool. Good.
I do not know about teaching children.
All right, we're all here to learn. Becky?
I have varying bits of experience with my Woodcraft Folk group, which is an Elfin group. And I used to teach maths in secondary school. So I have a fair amount of experience, I suppose, from that, especially when it comes to the STEM club projects that I ran, which I imagine will cross over quite a bit with the sort of thing we will, I imagine, be doing as part of this project. So yeah, a bit of a variety of ages, I suppose. Okay. But yeah, I only taught for 3 years, so I'm not an experienced teacher, and there was a reason I left it. So, but yeah, I have some experience at least.
Yeah. Robin? Are you on mute, Robin?
Yeah, I'm not anymore. I have zero experience of teaching anyone anything. I help with pioneers. I've got 2 youngish children. I have to explain the odd thing there, here and there.
Yeah.
And the nearest I've got to climate science is maybe reading Sustainability Without the Hot Air, and the like. I'm an energy engineer, so I've got a bit of a clue about that side of things.
Yeah. I think there's always this feeling for what it is to be a teacher, and it's, you know, if you're working with a woodcraft group, answering their questions and having conversations with them, however informally, you're in a way, you are teaching, aren't you? And hopefully we can share techniques about ways in which you can get knowledge across in informal ways. Saul, what have you been up to?
There we go. Okay. Yeah. Well, I've started doing some teacher training. So I've been doing my PGCE and to become a science teacher. I've been involved in like sea change and stuff for like years. Yeah, just stuff really. At the moment, I'm just playing guitar.
Marvelous.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and other stuff, but I don't know.
And your other stuff is you're trained to be a physics teacher. That's right.
Oh yeah, physics teacher, like Institute of Physics-y scholarship person. Yeah. So I get like lots of emails from people all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't know. I'm sure there's more that I don't know.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh yeah, I also do like the Boomtown. I've been organising like Face Your Elephant at Boomtown for the past few years, and did a couple of years doing the Latitude stuff as well.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess that's about it really.
In the room. Bob Todd.
Hi. Yeah, well, a long time ago, I was a lecturer at Southampton Uni in electronic engineering. Did that for quite a few years. And then I worked at CAPT for many years, Centre for Alternative Technology, and range of people there, from school groups to MSc groups. So some experience. And then more recently, woodcraft stuff, adventure leader, and doing hands-on projects at camps and things like that. So all quite rewarding, and I think it's the sort of stuff people remember when they've actually done it with their own two hands. So yeah, but I don't know anything about, I don't know the technical terms for all this.
No. You see, I would say that Bob's a great example of teaching about climate science. You know, and from looking at our young people, they do seem to learn a lot from listening to him, and practical activities. His potato can radio and TV station is infamous, I'd say. Lizzie. Unmute Lizzie. Here we go.
There we go. I'm an undergraduate. I study control engineering, which is related to electronics, but it's not, doesn't really have much to do with climate in there. But I do have, I was a swimming teacher for 3 years, so I have some experience with children, but not much when it comes to teaching about climate science.
Okay. And Susanna?
Yeah, I think my major climate science education experience was with Face Your Elephant, which was quite a long time ago now, but still counts.
Yeah, it does.
Other than that, when I was at uni a couple of years ago, I did a bit of stuff with the Engineers Without Borders Society, which did a bit of education in schools. But unfortunately, the society didn't get as much interest as we'd hoped for. Anyway, and yeah, today, at least I'm a graduate today, so from today I'm officially an engineer.
Oh, brilliant! Well done. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. No, I don't know if this sounds correct. I've watched your growth as an engineer from afar, from when you were a Face Your Elephant arts graduate. I think you were then, were you? Face Your Elephant, I believe. And could we say you were inspired to become an engineer from being involved with that project?
It definitely opened my mind.
Yes, brilliant. Good to hear that. Paul, what have you been up to?
Yeah, so my professional teaching experience is at postgraduate level only, developing master's courses, but I've also run a number of research council public engagement projects.
I think it's effectively just completely just not here.
I guess that sound is from Danny, because I've got no control over meeting.
Can't send it because that was the meeting.
Yeah, she should.
If you need to, you have to swap with it.
So anyway, carry on, Paul. It's gone quieter.
That's it. I've finished now.
Yeah. Okay. Marvelous.
Move on.
I think. Well, it will get better than this, I'm sure. Now, I have not before shared. So you experts, I have not shared my screen. Start share. Is that what I do?
Sounds good.
It does, doesn't it? Unfortunately, Woodcraft host has to help me, because it says here, I shall try again. It says here, start share, and I get a message which says host disabled, attendee screen sharing. Yeah.
Can you message Danny to say share
Yes,
screen?
to do that. Yes, I shall. Yes. Yes. It's not as good if I read it out, is it? But we can resort to that. Let's see, give her a moment, see if she can reply. Because she does reply at times, doesn't she? What does everybody think? You can put your answer in the chat. At the moment, I can do very little from this side. We can rearrange when Danny's better, got her internet sorted so that she can host it better. But I'm a bit stuck here because I can't share my presentation. And old school screen share, get Paul to hold the paper from his camera. Oh, drat. This is so annoying.
Talk around some issues, Margaret.
Yeah, we can definitely talk around some issues. I mean, we can talk around some, we're all here, aren't we? We can talk around some issues about climate science education, some things that are worrying you. Some, you know, you certainly from what you said to me, you said things like, I'm not an expert as a teacher. I don't know much about climate science education. So in terms of issues, I say, if you're a Woodcraft leader, you're teaching your young people, if you're taught young people about swimming, you've created relationships with young people. So I'd say that those things are absolutely paramount, that if you're a leader in a Woodcraft group, you've built up relationships with young people. If you've worked with young people in any setting, that you've done that. Now, the slides I was going to show you were some direct kind of links, some hints, some tips about where you find out about the science. But I'd say that you can shoot me down here, talk to me about it. One of the most important things I think in teaching about climate science education are building up relationships with young people. I'm going to put you on the spot here, Matthew. because you've done this absolute job with very young people, teaching about climate science education. What were the barriers that you found? What things really worked?
Yeah, I think that all of us can learn about the climate science, but the thing that really gets them engaged is when you are engaged and you are very enthusiastic and you get them involved and you're excited about speaking about it. If you go about it in such a way that they think it's boring, then they won't want to be excited about it. But I volunteered recently at the Edinburgh Science Festival, and the vast majority of the volunteers were actually from a theatrical background, and they learnt the science as part of their training, but they were also engaging, and the kids loved it.
Yeah. Okay. Saul, what have been your standout things that you'd say working at festivals, because you've done this task?
Oh yeah. Well, I always remember the smoothie bike and just getting very sticky. There's loads of like experiences of like meeting people of all sorts of like different backgrounds, and how each conversation is actually unique because you're dealing with that own person's kind of like starting point, and then just as long as you progress them somewhere from where they started from to like the next step where you've done something at least, I guess. So it's just taking the small victories when you can, and then enjoying a good argument with the climate denier every now and again. But you don't get as many of them anymore. So.
No, indeed you don't. Susie, do you have any standout moments from working with Face Your Elephant?
What you saw with climate deniers?
So with Face Your Elephant, your experience there, some standout moments, some things that worked. Engaging with festival goers.
I mean, how the smoothie bites definitely got people into the tent. But then once we'd got them in, getting people to sorry, I just explained what that was. It was like a bike-powered smoothie maker, which you'd get people to come in, be like, "Hey, free smoothies if you come and talk to us about climate change," which worked. And we had like activities set up, which it was a very much come for the smoothies, but people did stay for the activities, which I always felt was a success when you got people to actually interact with the activities and actually think about what you were saying, which I think that was sorry, I was going to sneeze. Yeah, when you'd really feel a sense of success when people went out having learned something new or thought about something in a different way. I think they were my favourite moments.
That's right. I mean, as definitely in the previous projects, and I guess in this one as well, the communicators were the young people, and that was the important thing. We would have critical friends, some older people who were critical friends around, experts in the room, if you like, and that was also really important. But standing aside and looking, it was the quality of the conversations that I saw that was really important. And some of the things that worked that I saw were, for example, when people were having conversations with the the carbon footprint in mobiles, that seemed to work quite well, because then there was a hook to have conversations with. I know you didn't do that necessarily, Matthew, but in the festival, when you people don't necessarily want to take away pieces of paper, but they want to have conversations and find out about things that they've done. So I thought that was quite successful and worth repeating.
By the way, Anne's now the host. So she can unlock presentation stuff.
I'd be the host.
Yeah. How did that happen?
That's all right.
I think it's because Woodcraft folk dropped out and then rejoined, so then it defaulted to the next person.
Oh, really?
Yeah, sorry to interrupt, just thought that was worth mentioning.
Yeah, and it's come back on again, just at the point where I was going to, where I clicked on the share screen. So I think Danny's got to do it again now.
Okay.
It didn't let me do it. If I click on it says it's host disabled attendee screen sharing. We should have nipped it there a bit faster.
Oh.
Yeah.
I think one of the things I feel is it's triggered by what Saul said about every conversation being unique, that every person is unique, and you can have really quite in-depth conversations with 10-year-olds or 12-year-olds, and you never know how much people know. I go into schools a lot, and the difference in awareness of different groups of sort of 9-10-year-olds in different schools is amazing, you know, because some teachers are fantastic and classes are really on the ball and asking all the right questions, and others just haven't done any of this stuff at all.
That's right.
So the listening is really important, is kind of figuring out where people are.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, and I know a couple of people said that they knew not so much about the climate science, and there was a very interesting whole day conference, and I'll send the link to this, last Saturday. And even though I felt it had a little bit of a dodgy start because it started off with an okay sort of poet. It's not her problem, I suppose, that she's an okay. It's fine. It's just, you know, the next bit was brilliant because it was lots and lots of detailed information about the climate science. And I think we sometimes make assumptions now. I think that Saul said something, you don't really meet climate change denies anyone. You probably don't. But the complexity and detail about what's happening and what, say, 4 degrees mean or 1 degree, you know, and the terminology can be quite complicated. And it needn't be complicated. I've got lots of, on my slides, lots of really, what I think is marvellous at the moment are the organisations that are producing absolutely brilliant, really sharp, very clear and understandable resources. The Met Office has produced some absolutely brilliant, really great up-to-date things, only produced in about the last 4 or 5 weeks. So I have got a link to them on my slides, but not to the absolute new stuff, which is very new and really, really good. So I would recommend you have a look at that. And do you know what I think I might do? I might just go through and read through some of the links. Shall I just do that? Is that useful? Yeah.
Would you just email it to us?
I could do that, couldn't I? I will email that to you, obviously. But while we're all here talking, I wonder if I could, you know, that I could just do that now, couldn't I? 1 second. Yes. Let's just. Yes.
Margaret, do you think that the Met Office stuff is better than the NASA stuff? NASA
yes, I do think it is. Yeah.
Oh, right. Oh, that's
yeah. Right. Just might be able to email it. If it might take a bit of time. It's not saved on this device. Yeah, it might. Oh, you don't want that. 1 second, I can probably do that.
I can't do anything about the screen sharing.
That's all right. I'll email this quite quickly. There we go. Let's just see. There we go. Ah, there we go. I don't know how this will be. I've sent it. Anyone got it?
Yeah, there is some major echo happening from Woodcraft Oak. Don't know if it's from YouTube.
I know. She's obviously not able to listen.
She has just emailed us 6 documents.
Oh, let's get over to that then. Yeah, I've also been kind of in discussions with Boomtown about, so previously we've used smoothies to like draw people in, about maybe having like a micro venue where we have like cool bands playing to draw people in. And then we have, in between the bands, we run little workshops, is what I was thinking could be like an interesting way to have a new mutation of facial elephant. But that's kind of in the discussion stages, and we'll see how that progresses over the next year. Because it was planned that we would maybe be doing that this summer there, but that's not happening now. So that will hopefully happen next summer.
That sounds like a great idea, Saul.
Yeah, like it should all work off, because I've got a sound system. I've got like all the equipment you need. I've got the marquees just lying around in a lockup over in Folkestone. So yeah, like all the equipment's there, and we have the experts now. So yeah. Anyway, I'll stop hijacking.
No, that's fine. I'm just seeing if I can.
Right, we try again, Margaret.
According to me, it's in my sent box.
No, I mean, Danny says she switched the screen share. Does that work?
Okay, all right. You should all have the presentation now as well.
Yeah. Got it.
So really long.
Yeah.
So, oh, share screen, indeed.
It's working. Yay!
Hey! Marvelous. Oh, let me put it onto the right. Here we go. Okay, right. So I've adapted this from a presentation I use with school teachers. So from